Hey everyone, this is Stacy with SF Johnson Consulting and Construction Services. And in this video, I just want to go over many reasons why you should take my electrical estimating class. Now, beyond the fact that I've done this for 16 years, there's a very practical way to complete your electrical estimates. And you just have to follow the same format. And when you're looking at a set of plans, you have to understand what the subtext is all about and all of the symbols. And if you can put those together, you will be able to after you take my class. It's going to make life so much easier for you. And I know a lot of you are self-performers, and that's the worst thing in the world you want to do is sit down, you think, for hours and hours and hours because it takes so long. First of all, you have to have a procedure, which I showed you. Second of all, you have to have the right tools. And if you have the right tools, that's where you just beat everybody and you have enough work for the whole year and you become very busy. And again, you're very competitive. You hear the excitement in my voice because I've helped so many electricians win so much money. And I'm excited this year that I'm helping myself win so much money through helping my electricians win. So I say that to say, if you're an electrician in California or any other state, and you are interested in working with me, not only do I complete your estimates, you will get personalized training on whatever level you may need it, whether it's estimating yourself or project management for your electrical work. So, if this is something you like, you've heard so far for this first 2 minutes almost, then come on the journey with your best friend, Stacy Johnson. All right, so let's get it going. Okay, so why do you want to take an electrical estimating class with me? Well, any of the classes that I teach, and if you know me and if you've watched my videos, which some are terrible, trust me, they're coming down. Now I'm going to have a whole lot less because pretty much all of 2022 is coming down, let me tell you. And we're just going to make them again and make them better, hopefully. Now, if you work with me, if you've looked at any of my videos, I always talk about my 3-step process. Right? The first step is a very detailed takeoff based on the plans. 2 is to have a way to determine your man hours based on something real, right? Like the construction industry. And 3, have a very professional way to present it on our specialized Excel spreadsheet where everything's broken down in great detail. If you've watched my videos, you've seen, I've given away a lot of my secrets. But the thing is, you really, to become the estimator I have become, it takes time. It takes you doing a lot of different work. It takes you losing some and understanding why. It takes you winning some and understanding why, and then working somewhere in between. But when it comes to electrical, you have a lot of challenges. Okay, the conduit, the wire, how do you determine what are all these different, if you're an electrician, you should know what this means, okay? But you may not be an electrician that has time to do this, okay? And so let me show you why you should either hire me to do your estimates, pretty simple, or let me teach you, which is even better, okay? And so, as you know, with your electrical plan, you have your lighting plan, which we're looking at right now, okay? So we have to be able to determine, we can count, and if you have a good counting tool, as you've seen me count a million times, the counting is easy. The part that's not so easy and that's challenging, and if you are interested in purchasing a study package for your trade, email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. This week, me and my team, we're working on a Walmart, Dutch Bros, and this one right here, Escapology, I guess. And so if you're interested in our 3-step process, having it on your whole study package you can keep and go to forever. Yes, I'm going to go through everything as if I'm teaching you, and you'll have the spreadsheet, and you'll have a way or see my way to determine man hours, and you can keep it forever. So the more different and the more diverse projects that you do work on, the better for you. Okay. And so I think this is escapology is probably like a massage therapy kind of place. I don't really know. And it comes to a set of plans. A set of plans is a set of plans. All right. So lighting plan. We can count all day. And again, you'll see my study video if you choose to see how I did the lights. Okay, this one, the emergency light's different than that one, and how we do it. If we have the track lighting, what's the proper way to account for the track lighting in terms of your takeoff? Well, I mean, it really depends on if it's standard. I mean, if you've got 10,000 different lengths of track lighting, then you probably, which I don't think we do. I think all of these are pretty much the same length because we have to, T8, T12, T whatever. Yeah, they're probably all 8 foot or some are different, maybe a little shorter. No, it looks like they're all T8, which makes it easy because you want to do the takeoff based on how you have to buy the material. Okay. And so, but when it comes to placing the labor for setting the T8 is separated from the labor to set our C2s and C3s into the track. Okay. And so if you want to make sure, you got to separate all that stuff. Okay. And that's just the lighting plan. This one's a little complicated. Now, in terms of our conduit and wire, we have to understand how lighting circuitry works. Okay. And basically they're telling us how the lights are connected based on the subscripts that they have on it. Okay. And so when you take my class, you'll understand how I run the stuff. And it's pretty close enough, add 10% like most things, and you're close enough. How you run it, do I run it horizontally or do I run it vertically? Well, it really depends on a few things. How it's noted here. And, in terms of lighting, a lot of the same lights, even as you can see in different rooms, are controlled by the same lighting control. And so what you want to do, and that's the most difficult part when we talk about electrical estimating, is what you want to be able to do is give it a sufficient amount that if you were the estimator and if you were the electrician, and hopefully you have a good relationship with your electrician and say, hey, look, this is how I ran it. And that's why I always give my clients videos. Hey, this is how I ran the conduit, and as far as the wire configuration, it's in the specs or it's in the plans or it's standard MC cable for certain parts and number 12s for the home runs. Typically the case. Okay. And so that's not hard, but that's what you have to think about. And that's a lot to think about. Framing, it takes you 5 minutes to do how many linear feet of wall A, B, and C. 2 seconds. Okay. Once you get real good. But this, no, because every set of plans is going to be different. The way that lighting controls are going to be different. What does this mean? Okay. I see. I mean, I have to match it up too. But what we have to do is we have to physically run that wire. How would we physically do it? And what you want to do is just give the best representation, the cleanest runs. You don't want to go all in circles and stuff. You want the cleanest runs you could possibly have that are real life. Okay, if you see, if you're really good, you're going to say, how far up does this wall go up? Do I have to penetrate the wall in order to get if necessary, to get through here? And that's a lot of my son's an electrical tech, and he says, sometimes we got to put the hole in the drywall to see because we think it's free and it's like a cross, So I said, bridging. He's like, yeah, like something going horizontal. It's not just the vertical studs. And then you end up running into something you got to cut through in order to put through the wall, and that's what I like working with people that do it, because you get a practical understanding of what happens every day. And then you, as the very detailed anal estimator, can speak with your professional and say, hey, look, this is how I did it. Now with video, you can show them. So you can really be competitive. And there are people out there that are using the right tools, doing the stuff as clean as they can, and then going in there and winning. Okay, because what you understand when you win a project, it's not set in stone. Okay, you need to make sure you understand. If you take my construction law class, contracts and understanding them is very important. So there's so much that if you don't have some kind of mentorship, or you don't, do it for a couple of good years for somebody that does it well, and then you go out on your own, you're really going to be taken advantage of on so many levels, or you're going to be so lost on so many levels on how to do certain things. Okay, and so I don't mind sharing my logic and my understanding of everything. And a lot of people out there in construction too competitive, to think too far, ahead. That's why I don't have the subscribers that I should. If I was some other person, I'd have 10 million subscribers. But for some reason in this country, we think if I help you, I'm not helping myself. And that's the most ignorant concept we've been able to hold on since. We'll keep moving. Anyway, so what you want to do is make sure you do a lot of projects, and the hardest part of it is being able to run the conduit. And how do you physically, get that going, and it's easy. After a time and you talk to a good professional, you have a good estimate or a good electrician you work with, you'll get it. All right. So that's just the lighting plan. Now, the power plan. Depending on how detailed it is, you got to do a lot of thinking, okay, on your own. Okay, and so, you have to read the specifications. I'm sure there's some kind of conduit that I have to attach. I'm sure there's some kind of junction box, AV, right, that the electricians got. But that's why you read the specifications. Or there may be notes, Yeah, there we go. 4-inch conduit run for low voltage wiring. Audio must be. Okay. Where's number 2? We know what they're talking about. 4-inch conduit. Well, I'll find it, and when I do the video, it'll be clear. But again, conduit and wire runs, that's where it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Because that's a major part of of your material cost. Okay, and how do I take care of the, because if I'm the high voltage electrician, I'm not providing Cat 5, Cat 6, low voltage wire, anything like that, right? But I have to provide the junction box and the conduit to the ceiling in most cases, and but as far as running the power for the general outlets, right? General purpose outlets. Well, what is PP1? Well, that tells me, right? It's going, hopefully there's a panel called PP1, and I'm going to position number 1, right? And so just like the lighting, we know that depending on the subscripts and everything that's on there, those can be connected together, and then at some point, PP1s, PP2, whatever, we'll show you in class, and then how we run it to the panel. Okay, and what's the best way to run it? What's the cleanest way to run it? Because that's the way pretty much a good electrician is going to run it. And then if you have your second step, which is our second step is what? Pricing it and determining man hours. Well, you need another tool for that. Just like you have the tool to count and measure lines and stuff, well, you need another tool for that. And let's never forget the HVAC power, okay, and the disconnects, if they're fused or non-fused or whatever, the disconnects, and the general purpose power that also connects to, you got to remember that. Now, I'm out here on top of the roof. Where are the panels? You got to make that a practice. You got to know how to go back and forth, and yeah, the only good place, well, not always, but in most sets of plans, the only place you're going to find the position of your panels are going to be on the power plant, because, power plant. Lighting, there is, so when you're running your home runs for your light, Let's see, I might be wrong. Maybe they show you the panels on the lighting plan. No, they don't, right? Because that's just not what they do. But they show you on the power plan, so you have to know when you go back to the lighting plan and you're running your actual, I mean, they give you a little outline of them. But now, which one's P1, P2, which one's LP1, LP, got to go back to your power plan. Okay, and note it in your brain. And then when you're running your home runs for your for your lighting plan, then you know it's about what LP1's right here. And so I run them all together, and then I run whatever I've determined the home run to be where after I've run these all together, and I've determined, okay, for all of the LP1s, RP118s, we ran them all to this location. We ended it here, and now we're going to run it, the home runs, from here to there. That's how that works. And then you can imagine at the end of it, you can't see lights or anything because all you see is all of your runs. Where this is easier, much easier. Not a lot of outlets, which is beautiful. And so we connect all of those in what we call series, right? All together. And then at some point when we figure where the end of the P4s are, we run it to the home run. Add 10%. You don't worry about the vertical runs up and down the wall, even though it has good enlarged plans to show you exactly. So this might be good for me and my son. We're talking about California regulations. Well, it's probably standard that the light is any devices standard 3.5 feet above finished floor, and and so what they did is give us enlarged plans, but we don't really need that in terms of, they only do that. I mean, this is for the actual electrician now when he has to go and do the work. Well, now I can do my actual measurements and determine exactly where everything has to go. And this is what it looks like on the plan. But in the elevation view, right, in the real life view, that's what it looks like. All right, and I didn't mark okay, so HVAC plan, all the enlarged plans. Where did I? That's plumbing. Okay, well, you just have to go with me on this journey, because the last thing we always have to do is, let me make it easy for my mouse hand. We have to look for and find good elevations for, there we go. Oh, I did put it on there. And we have to find all of, okay. So this tells you your circuitry for the lighting control. That's nice and clean. It's a nice set of plans. It's a nice. All right, so we need our single line, right? So we can determine all of the power feeders. And when we looked on that power plan, these are very close to each other, so it shouldn't be a problem at all. And so what are the 2, 3, and 4, and 1 should be telling us the wire configuration for each of those. And I just start, whether I'm asked to or not, I just use rigid steel for all of the power components. EMT to it, or PVC depending on where it's at. But the last step is we got to count our breakers, right? The size and how many poles on both sides. Okay, and we have to be able to determine, based on the number of breakers, our cost book is going to tell us how many man hours we should apply. 42. Now, it doesn't take me that long. Okay, we good, because the better you get at a thing, right, it shouldn't take you that long, right? So, but we are saying that this is what the construction industry standard is giving you. And yeah, if it takes you less time, what do? You knock those man hours off and you become even more competitive. Okay, and so typically a 42, that's about 15.1 man hours they give you to install a 42 breaker panel. Okay, anything above and below that, I forget, but because that's the typical 142 position. And so, yeah, we got to count all the breakers too. So that's like the last thing. But as you can see, the easiest part, if anything, is just having a really good counting tool. But now you have to understand and make sure you have a good way and a logical way of determining how many linear feet of your feeders, your MC cable, your number 12, number 8, whatever it is. And just know that, just rule of thumb, if it's a 21, right, 20 amp one pole, it's typically, the wire running to it is usually a number 12. But if you've got like rooftop unit 333, that's telling me that that's not just number 12s. Okay, and so you want to go a little deeper than maybe what you're given in the plans, let your electrician know, or go from past, because the electrical estimator isn't an electrician to be able to determine, because electricians can determine what, depending on the power consumption of the piece of equipment and a whole bunch of other factors, they can determine they should be able to, what the wire configuration is. So if it's not outright given to you, then you should be able to, heads up and get it. Okay, so typically, again, 20 amp one pole is typically the home run associated with that, and whatever is number 12s. 2 number 12s and 1 number 12 ground. Anytime you see more than the one pole breaker, chances are you're gonna short the power feeder. Okay, because it's a number 8, it's a number 10, it's a number 1, it's a number 2, it's something other than number 12. It may be 4 number 12s, but the whole point is red flag should go off if you see on any of your panels that you are going anything above, even 2 pole. It's something different, okay, than just a number 12, and figure that out. You got to find it. Ask somebody. All right, and I think that's it. Know your symbols, okay, and usually in the estimate. So, 3-step process. 1, counting is easy, okay? What's not so easy are the wire and conduit runs and how to think about your labor costs, okay? That's not so easy. So you need to do it for the lighting plan, for the power plan, break out any HVAC, okay, power. And 2, if you have a restaurant, which I'm doing a Dutch Bros, which is a crazy restaurant, your outlets are going to be all over the place, okay? NEMA 1520p, NEMA 515, NEMA. So the first thing you want to do when you have restaurants of any kind is go in the power plan and start to break that down, because it's always some crazy configuration on how you have to count your outlets. Always, any restaurant. And that's the Dutch Bro's not even a restaurant. It sells stuff you put in your body, but imagine how a Marie Cal, they don't have them anymore. Texas Roadhouse. I love Texas Roadhouse. I got to go at least once. And this show should be sponsored by Texas Roadhouse, where you can pick your steak. Oh my God. And it's just always so good. I don't know about those people. All right. So anyway, let's, I guess that's, and the pièce de résistance. Okay. That's black French right there. Let's get it over here. The specialized Excel spreadsheet. Okay. That will have some stuff filled in for you. And if you take any of my estimating classes now, I went from 10 weeks to a year, okay, to forever, as long as I'm alive, and you still need to learn. because my clients are self-performers and they miss more classes if we were strict about it than they attend. So I make them videos, got requirements. Hey, our numbers have to match. Okay. If our numbers aren't matching, we have problems. Okay. And so when you take a class with me over that period of time, however long it takes you to feel comfortable to branch out on your own, you receive this stuff from me. I'll teach you how to do this, and I'll give you man-hour calculators that are just the wire, that are just the conduit of all kind. And the wiring devices are kind of crazy. So us, in the process of doing so many for electrical, because as you know, if you're an electrician, all of your wiring devices are insane. There's so many kinds. So we want to break that into like a book of stuff for wiring devices. And then lighting and panels and switches, not as bad. Okay, but when I teach you, you get this. And I show you how to edit it. And I give it to you if you mess it up. And we go over what overhead and profit should actually be. And clue, today's overhead and profit is based on last year's direct operating costs. Okay, so it's almost tax season. I've started myself. You should be determining or know really good right now what last year's operating costs are, because those are adjusted as every year. I've been in business 16 years, and some of the years, the amount of money I made blew my mind. And some of the years, I'm like, how did I even survive? So, yeah, those things change over years, and you have to change with it. And one thing I've also noticed is that contractors are horrible with keeping track of any kind of cost. And so if that is you, make sure you reach out, because I am too, but we got to fix our problems in 2025. And I have, and it's important. It's like you don't want to make so much money that you don't care if you're losing it, and you don't even know it because you don't pay attention. And I think that's a very bad universal law, universal principle to have, to not pay attention to how much money you're making. Don't pay so much attention to it to where you're an a-hole, but you need to be aware of how much money you're making every week, every month, and how much you're paying out and to who. Okay, because some of your assistants are ripping you off and then blaming somebody else. Okay, so please pay attention. All right. What else? I don't know. If you have a comment about this, please let me know. But I'd be more than happy to add you to the list of my wonderful students who learn pretty much in like 2 months. So I say forever because, yeah, they learn in like 2 months because I don't play, right? I don't play. I've done it a million times. I really want you to learn. I'm not a hater. There's nothing that benefits me by not teaching you. Okay? It just makes me better and you better too. So this is Stacy, your best friend in 2025. Talk to you soon.